you believe?
Week 2 of women's 10-pin play of the Canadian Bowling Championships, and we'll start things off with Cindy Dawson from LaSalle, Quebec, against Jill Friis from London, a former national youth champion. Cindy Dawson. She gives that 7 a little bit of a rattle, but it just won't go.
A little bit of a tap there. It's interesting to watch the reaction. We've talked about whether people get bothered with the television, but they concentrate so much on what's happening at the other end, they don't even worry about it anymore. That ball did what she wanted. That went to the left, picked up the corner pin. Jill going from Southern Ontario right into the head pin, enough that she got the strike. Well done. The coach from was a YBC bowler, and she now coaches the young bowler, so that's pretty nice. 15-pound bowling ball, 206 average. Boy, did she put the power into that. That just snapped there, and she stopped herself a little short at the foul line, but got away with it. Beautiful, and double up. Center DeKeel 400 in the ball, and Point Merced Lanes. Boy, there's a nice way to come back. Responded with a strike.
Cindy Dawson from LaSalle, Quebec. Jill Friis from London, Ontario. Our preliminary matchup here on week 2 women's 10-pin play. And early advantage to Jill with the 2 strikes up as Cindy bowls here in the third. LaSalle is just east of the Dorval Airport in the Montreal area. You saw there that she is a former national junior champion. In fact, a 2-time national junior champion back in 1990 and 92. But this is her first appearance on TSN.
Well, she's not letting it bother her at all. She picked up a nice spare, evenly done. Her opponent coming up on the lane right now is Jill, and she has a double up. Sets herself up, pushes it up, down, brings it back straight, back swing back there, and straight through, and wow. We have a match going up here for her. She's just right lined up.
3 in a row for Jill Friis.
Right over the head. Just a perfect example. She coaches the young people, a YBC bowler, or former YBC bowler, and there is a good example of what you should do. Do what the coach does. Out, down, brings it back, brings it forward, and gets the result.
Ooh, that's a little bit of bad luck. Flew the pin right around the 10.
The ball hits here a little bit faster. You know, the people go for it and they just get a little, as you get more strikes, you get a little bit faster. That's why it's so tough to get a perfect game. You've got to remind yourself, just keep everything natural. Going right across to get the corner pin, the 10th pin goes down.
So nicely done by Jill Friis. Opens with the 3 strikes, follows it up with the spare here in 4.
He bowls in London, Ontario, and the Bowlerama Royale. Cindy has bowled a perfect game. She's got an interesting job. Point Merced Lanes league statistician.
That's easy to score. You just put a strike up.
Stats show that the strike up there makes it easy to come back. There's the roll of the ball, and you can see it get tighter and tighter as it gets into the pocket. Hits the about the 17.5 board down the lane, and there we go. Gonna hit awful close, and she did it. That's a tremendous example of what getting up there and just doing your job shows you. It pays off. A little bit of experience, of course, in 92 and 1990 was a gold medalist. Beautiful average, 206, and a good hit.
Sure making it simple for us, aren't they?
Well, yeah, but get up, hit the ball, get the ball hitting the pins, and sit down. She's a little bit straighter on the line, goes over top of the second arrow on the lane. The arrows are about average of about 15, 16 feet right on the bowling lane there. You line it up, look there rather than at the head pin, which is 60 feet from where you release it. Now she needs another strike here.
Oh, that was a break.
Indeed it was.
That was a break to come over and take out the pin and just leave the 7.
One of the reasons she got away with that is she's not happy with it, but the reality is, as you say, it was a break, but she reaches and gets it all. Watch the pin right there. It just goes right around, and there came off the sideboards. Ooh, she knew she had a little bit of a problem. On the pin lined up for her, and there you go.
Well, nicely done by Jill Friis. She has the mark now in every frame so far. Good game going here. And you can see Cindy Dawson with the 2 strikes up in 4 and 5.
Has had an 801 and a 300 game, perfect game. That's one example.
Again, somehow able to wrap those pins around the 10.
She's very solid with the, there's 2 different contrasts here. She's very solid at the line, and her opponent is lined up a little bit straighter, and she's also solid, but just a little bit different release point. Let's see what happens if she can pick up. The corner pin has been the nemesis of the ladies in the first go-rounds of weeks that we had, if not this time.
Just gives a little tickle on the way by. Interestingly enough, both the women have had perfect games. As you mentioned, Cindy's had 1, Jill has had 3, and both of them, their high series, 801.
That is an absolute amazing total for 3 games to be able to get that kind of a score. There you are, solid at the line again. Crossed over though, however, and leaves up 3 pins.
A little full. Leaves the 3, 6, 10.
Right there, she just turned it a little bit too far, and then as it come down the lane, it came inside where she wanted it for the target. Left to the head pin. Now we'll watch and see how she lines up. Got her toes aiming at the target down at the other end. Walks right straight to the target. Chops it off, unfortunately.
That is an untimely open for Cindy Dawson coming here in 7. Just an 8 count. And so it's 134. But let's remember what we saw in week 1. It's how you bounce back from those opens. We saw Melody Savage do that. Jill Friis.
You notice that she goes direct down the lane right at the target and just straight through rather than where you see some of the people getting all the curves on it. But she comes right over top into the head pin. There's not any deviation on that at all. It just goes straight through. The ball hits right in between the 8 and the 9 at the far end.
Now, is she playing with what in effect is a ball weighted to go run straighter, do you think?
No, I think that she's just got the right ball in the right lineup. She's tightened up in there, and there's a perfect example of how the payoff comes back. She's just going right deep into the pocket.
Yep. So you can see now it's Cindy Dawson that's really desperate to get something going again, build some pin count after that open.
You know, so Cindy is crossing over a little bit more, and
Oh boy, that's
unfortunately,
tough.
that's exactly right. As we've talked about before, you go in the left of the head pin, everything goes sideways instead of going back and mixing it up. And the whole object in the 10-pin game particularly is to get the pins spinning. The revolvation of the pins will be the ones that knock everything over. Not much chance of getting a spare there, and she got out of balance, but it wouldn't matter. Well, it does matter because she left up one extra pin there.
Yeah. So another open frame, second 8 count leaves her at 142, and now Jill Friis very much in control. You see Friis with 139 through 6 with 2 strikes up, and Dawson at 142. Cindy to bowl here in the 9th, desperate for some strikes.
Actually a good hit on that Ling, left up a 4-pin, but a good hit. Considering this is the first time she's been on television, I think she's done quite well. 15 or 16-pound bowling ball, bowls in a couple of leagues back home in Quebec. We've had some fantastic bowlers coming out of the Quebec area. Much better balance on that one than the release.
Jill Friis out of London, Ontario. She's an X-ray coordinator at the London Health Science Centre, and reading the X-ray, she might see a win in her future.
Interesting enough, she was named Sportsman of the Tournament of the World Championships.
Ooh, that's not what she wanted.
That's for sure, the 6-7-10 over there.
Wow. Wow. Now, does that open the door at all, do you think, for Cindy?
Not really, because she's just got herself too deep in the match. With just a couple of bad errors at times when no fault of hers, but it happens.
Now, she has a chance here to still close her up. There you go. That will give her, at this point, 194. And the best that Cindy can do is a 192. And so Jill Friis will move on and win this preliminary. Cindy Dawson will take home the $250. It was just all the great pin count, and then of course those 2 opens by Cindy at 7-8 that really hurt her chances.
Now that's the first time that she's crossed over. A little bit of a reaction from the shot she had at the past frame there, but let's see what happens now when she goes for the 6-10. I'd be experimenting just a little bit because she knows she has the match in hand. Has a potential of 214, which is a good way to start. And that is not a good way to start. So then, at any rate, she has a 202 and goes forward. Cindy coming up on a spare now with a 9 frame there. She has a spur shot. Has a potential of 100. And there she goes. It just gotta say she had a potential of the 181 if she struck out, but at any rate, she's doing real well as a person coming onto the show for the first time. Marvelous.
Yeah, well, she's going to see that 10-pin for a long time, I think, in her dreams. It just wouldn't go for her today. Going across the lane. Our congratulations on YBC bowler in the past 23 years she's been bowling, and I'm quite sure she'll continue to do so. Thank you for showing up today and into the series. Congratulations to London, Ontario's Jill Friis. She survives a couple of open frames late, but great pin count early. She bowls at 202 and she'll advance on week 2.